Hey, friend. Welcome to the Inimitable Podcast. I'm your host, Jazmyne Harrison. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, mentor, visionary, transitional life coach, and of course, I am a neurospicy black sheep. Inimitable means something that is so unique, it is impossible to duplicate. This pod is for the neurospicy who are building mental wealth without a blueprint. Thank you for coming, and if you're here, it's because God needed you here. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I'll see you soon. Hey, guys.
I love the Neurospicy.
Yes, because we're out here. We are out here. The Neurospicy, because like neurodivergent, it sounds cool, but you know me, I gotta be a little different. So
No.
Neurospicy it is.
I'm adopting it. Neurospicy.
Please do. Give me credit. This is what I do. I give people the credit the first 3 times, and after that, it's mine. So just give me the credit the first 3 times, and after that, it's yours.
Absolutely.
Anywho, hey guys. So this is not live. This is pre-recorded. However, that doesn't mean we don't stay, because we should stay. There's going to be a great conversation. This is episode 11, which is absolutely insane. I can't believe I've been doing this for 11 episodes so far. And this episode, like, this is like one of my favorite people in the world, because she's like so cool. And like, we just get along. Like, we just vibe so well, and I love it. Jazmyne is a dance instructor, amongst a million other things that she does very well. And we used to work together, but, you know, we went from colleagues to work people, and now we're friends. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jazmyne to the pod.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here. I'm so proud of you and for this. This is awesome.
Oh, thank you. So how are you feeling? Are you ready?
I'm ready. Ready. Neurospicy, ready to go.
Yes. Because we're going to be great. And this is just what we do. So if you hear us like laughing for no reason, just roll with it, because this is what me and Jazz do.
We can't help it.
We have fun. All right. So Jazz, starting from the beginning, like, what was it like? Because I feel like I was raised as an only child, although it was me and my brother. But Jazz got a slew of siblings. So, like, what was that like? Bring us to Jazz in her younger years.
Yeah, so I have very young parents. I call them baby parents. I was lucky enough to be blessed with my mom, my biological dad, and an amazing stepfather who we ignore that first half. And with all of that, they've created a beautiful group of siblings for me. I have 6 sisters and 3 brothers all together. And yeah, it was exactly what one would imagine. I'm the oldest from my mom's side. We're all J's, and yeah, that was fun. It was exactly, like I said, what you would picture. All these kids growing up in the same house. Lots of throwing, lots of fighting, lots of stealing clothes, lots of that's mine. No, this is mine. But now that we're adults, it was a good trade-off, because we fought hard and now we love harder. And yeah, so I'm very blessed to have a good relationship with every single one of my siblings, which doesn't normally happen, especially in like a blended family. And not just that, but my blended family has relationships with each other too. So, you know, I've got sisters on this side and sisters on that side who have created their own relationship. And so, yeah, that was great. And
That's
my
so
young
cool.
parents have grown up into wonderful people. Yeah, so we raised them well.
I love that, because blended families are hard. Like, a lot of people, it doesn't mesh the way that they envision it, and it just kind of like crumbles in front of it. So what was the secret sauce that kept you guys kind of like together and copacetic, even though there was fighting and throwing and stealing of stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. With the siblings that I grew up actually in the house with, my mom and my father, who's like my stepfather, we had this saying, which is like, you know, come back to the table, because there was a point in our home where, you know, we kind of all just were at odds, from top to bottom. And my parents just decided this is the family we want to fight for. These are the people we choose. And so we're all going to come to the table every single Sunday. And it lasted like a year at least, where we would come to the table on Sundays and we would hash things out. And I mean, they always started like at level 10. And then we, you know, in like having these tough conversations, kind of like learned empathy, compassion, how to listen, how to communicate. And even though sometimes we would walk away from the table kind of just still at odds, not really understanding each other, we would always come back every single Sunday, everybody. So yeah, that's where that kind of birthed from. And then we took that and kind of like expanded into our own relationships outside of the house. Always come back to the table of these are the people that I choose to do relationship with, and I'm going to keep at it. And with the siblings that I didn't exactly grow up in the house with, it was all about effort. I choose you, I want you, so whatever that means at the time, and really having like empathy for each other and compassion for like what we're going through in our own lives. So if I miss a text, you know, I'm so sorry, but I love you. Let's work on creating like a FaceTime date or something like that. Like those little efforts kind of feedback. And then just deciding that family's family. I think that's what pulled it together. Luckily, I was raised with an amazing support system that encouraged like those intertwining relationships. You know, we didn't take anything from the generation above us. No, you know, we kind of heard stories, but we also like, you know, chose to, what is it called? The legend of the buffalo fish. You take the fish, you leave the bones. So that was kind of our thing. Like, yeah, we hear these, you know, opinions from the outside, but we're going to decide this is what we're doing from here on out. So yeah, a combination of all the things, but communication's like the key.
Yeah, I like that. That's huge.
I'm very lucky, very blessed.
Yeah, I don't know why people underestimate the power of a good communication moment. But I tell you, like, miscommunication that's really what be messing up relationships. You know, a lot of people think it's like money or sexual things. I'm like, honestly, it's miscommunication and unmet expectations. That's really what it is.
Especially when you try to like protect someone's feelings, you know what I mean? Like I've learned that the hard way. It usually doesn't end well anyway. So yeah, communication is everything.
You gave a lot of secret sauce, Jazzy Poo. And if I say that, y'all ignore me. This is what I call her. Anyway, you said a lot of great things there. And I love that you were able to take, I never heard that buffalo fish thing, but again, I'm going to do that because it's good stuff. It's like, yes, take the information from previous generations and don't act ignorant and ignore it. But then be like, okay, so what does this mean for me in my generation now? Right? Because obviously we can always revamp and do something different, but you make sure that it was true to you guys. And I feel like that's huge because we try to, if you got like big feet and you got big shoes and small feet, it's like, it don't fit. Like it just, it doesn't work. So you got to find out what works for you. Hey, listen, I'm one for analogies, man. That's how I do most of my counseling sessions. Because they get it. Anyway, speaking of counseling sessions, mental health, Jazz. When was your first like recollection of like, I don't know what this is, but later on you found out it was mental health? Like, when was that first moment of, oh, there's something here? I don't quite know what it is.
Yeah, this is why I love this platform and I love what you're doing because mental health, especially growing up, I grew up Christian. My grandfather was a pastor, studied theology, was a theologian teacher. And so I have always been, you know, surrounded in believers. And from what I hear, I've always had a really, really big issue with anxiety. I think I was hospitalized, my mom said, when I was 4 years old. with anxiety, and I had a huge anxiety attack. They didn't know what was wrong with me. We'll find out it was that. So I've always dealt with anxiety, but it wasn't until I want to say 14, maybe my freshman year of high school, where I would have these blackouts where I didn't know what was going on, but I would throw like major fits, kind of like lose it. And so my first hospitalization was at 14. And that's when I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and manic bipolar depression, which was confusing. Like I said, I grew up in the church. So like my parents trying to figure out, okay, well, this is real. Like we're dealing with this in real time. And also, how do we move forward and, practice our faith in this? What do we do? It has always been that battle. And we didn't really have counseling in that with like finding cohesiveness in both of those things. So it's really tough. Yeah.
I love that you brought that up, Jazz. I'm so glad you brought that up because I've talked about it in other episodes because, we love Jesus over here. Anyone who knows me knows we love Jesus over here. And it's hard, right? Because you have some theories or theologies that like both can't exist at the same time. Like if mental health exists, like that ain't mental health, that's a demon and we got to rebuke it and
to pray harder.
Pray it out. Yeah. And then there's the other where it's like, well, theology, therapy and Jesus, they kind of go hand in hand, right? Because we have to tend to all of the person. Whereas like you go to a doctor to check on your physical health, you go to Jesus for your spiritual health, and then who do you go for your mental health? People think that that doesn't exist. And it's like, it really does. And, I love that you mentioned that like your parents are trying to figure out like, how do we balance those two worlds? Because sometimes we're raised to think that those contradict each other, when in reality, we can mesh those two worlds and say like, I can pull from my faith to help my mental health condition or disorder. And then why not have both and figure out how to live life doing that, Yeah. But like at 4, Jazz? Wow. Yeah. I didn't know that. Even I didn't know that. What was 4? Yeah. 4, like I think 4 is one of those, and it probably was like really tough to figure out what it is. Cause like, what does a 4-year-old know about anxiety? Like what are you anxious about at 4?
So it's really interesting. I had a therapist one time, and which was interesting because I always challenged every therapist. It was kind of like a little jerk. I was like, what, how do you feel? Like really obnoxious, really obnoxious. But I had this one counselor and I just kind of like, this was around the time where I became very serious about getting help. And I asked him in full vulnerability, like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know where, like everybody deals with some anxiety, circumstantial anxiety, health problems and all of that. But like for so long, I'm like, where does this come from? And he gave me like an example, I guess, where he walked me through my young mom being in high school still when she had me, having a test tomorrow. Like she has a test tomorrow, she needs to study, and she also like, you're colicky, you're screaming and crying, and she's desperate to calm you, so sad that you're sad, but needs to study, needs to pass these grades, has all these worries for the future because now she has a daughter and she's looking down at you and she's thinking, what do I do? All of that transferring to the baby, and the baby absorbing that and taking that all in and not knowing why my mom's upset, like that settles in, which actually later down, like I keep reminding myself of that later down the line when I'm dealing with other people, when I'm reacting to certain emotions, like I stop and think, okay, how is this feeding this person, and how is this doing this? Because I like learning that it started to like reveal some missing pieces to the puzzle that I was trying to figure out, and that was a huge one because I'd agreed, like, what does a 4-year-old have such major anxiety about, like separation anxiety to the max, where I ended up in the hospital. They just, well, how do you deal with that as a parent? And so that like tiny little like example like really gave me a lot of answers.
Mm-hmm. That's so good, because in mental health world, we say anxious parents breeds anxious babies. It is what it is. Like, kids
listen to me,
learn.
I'm like, wow, that's revelation. Huge revelation. You're like, yeah, that's textbook.
It's true. Like, you can't just like be anxious and expect a child who's watching and looking, and like, you are that child's example to the world right now. So everything they understand about the world, they learn from you until they go to school and all the other stuff. But it's like, yeah, if you have a panicky parent, this kid's gonna be like, I can't have crumbs on the floor, because if I have crumbs on the floor, then blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's anxiety, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. It really makes you pay attention to like what you're putting out, especially dealing with children. Like, we met in a transition home where all of like a lot of pressure. You're not the parent, you're not even like counsel. I wasn't a counselor, but you do have this responsibility that's like put on you, because these kids are looking up to you, and it makes you stop and think like, wow, okay, how do I react in a way that feeds them in the direction that I'm praying for them to go in, and not based on my emotional reaction. It's adulting.
Ghetto, and who asked for it? I need to unsubscribe, because I didn't ask for the premium package. I most definitely did not. I was like, I know I requested it, but I don't think I wanted the premium package. Like, can we go down a level or two? Like, I don't want it. But yeah, it's like, I think certain people are like real finicky about energies and how they're exchanged. But I'm like, that's absolutely how this works. Like, some people, you walk into a room and you just feel energy like, and you're like, what just happened? You know what I mean? Yeah. Or another person walks into the room, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I feel a little better. I feel a little like, okay, I don't know what that is. That's energy, ladies and gentlemen. Aura, energy, spirit, they kind of go hand in hand these days.
Yeah.
But I like that you mentioned, like, we have to be mindful of that, because we interact with people all the time. And something that I had to learn is, when people experience me, I don't want them to just experience the craziness that is my life. Like, as a believer, of course, I want you to experience God when you experience me, but also as a counselor, just as a person, it's like, I want you to leave my presence feeling like you had a good time, or laughing, or maybe that you feel a little bit healed and encouraged or whatever, but if I'm not paying attention to that, I can just ruin someone's day and not even know it, or change it for the better.
Yeah.
But yeah. So having this mental health concerns that you have had, like, how did you navigate life like that? Like, we heard about family, and then you just brought up work. So how were you able to find like solid ground and footing to be able to continue in life?
Full transparency, I am still figuring that out. I think, oh man, I always get really nervous when I say these types of things, because I was so smothered in these like Christian cliches, and like the all of the scriptures that are written in Hobby Lobby on some bright pillows, like just like shoved down your throat. But the truth is that I tested God. I really did. I specifically a couple of years ago, I moved to San Diego and I said, I'm going to run as far away from you as possible. And I'm going to see what that's like, because I've been trying to do this Christian thing and I have fallen on my face. And I just want to see what it is. And blah, 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 blah. And oh boy, did he allow me. I completely like tried my best to just separate myself and see what, what all of this was capable of without having to keep these like guidelines and like rules and all of that. And I quickly found out that it is chaotic, and the people that are totally like set in their ways about the world, they're not handling it well. It was very practical for me. It ended up being pretty practical for me. I'm listening and I'm taking in all of this information and how people go about and all, I'm not going to mention any beliefs specifically, but there were all these, alternative like worship avenues and lanes to go in. And I took a peek into each one of them and I was like, this is not better. And not only is it not better, I felt physically just exhausted, mentally exhausted, emotionally exhausted, just like everything. When I thought I was in charge of like, my decisions and what I'm doing and nobody's going to use me, I'm going to be in charge or whatever, it was sucking the life out of me. And to make a long story short, at the very end of that journey in San Diego, and this is a big, big pivotal moment in my life, and I'll get to the point, is at the very end when I was so tired and just broken, like everything exposed. God showed me that he never left. Like I chose to run away, but he never left me. He saved me. And those are stories for another time. But when I say he saved me, he saved me. And so a big part of the base of the foundation of my journey with specifically mental health is God. And there are a lot of scriptures that speak to because my issue, I think what hurt me the most was, what if I never get healed from this? What if this is something that I always have to deal with? What if I have to stay on medication? What if I have to do this? And if I do any of this, does that mean that I believe in you less, that I can't believe that you healed me? And that's just not the truth. I like, when I am made weak, he is made strong. That resonated with me in a whole different way, because I actually, and I don't recommend anybody like run away from God to come to this revelation. But I did in the journey. He met me. Well, he kind of, I feel like we did this, like he stayed here and I just took the long way around to get right back. And he met me with these same scriptures, and they started to resonate to me different, the thorn in the side with, I believe it was Paul, the thorn in the side. And he's like, what is this? And it's that thing that everybody has something. I think I learned everybody has something that they are walking with, that they need to constantly hand over God, constantly hand it over to God. And I would have to say that this is the first time in my life that I am taking my mental health extremely seriously. And I've learned that doesn't separate. I can't separate it from my faith. In order to take it seriously, I have to look at who I am, what I've been called to do, who I've been called to be, and have a foundation that does not change based on emotion, that does not change based on opinion. And I haven't found anything like I have with the relationship I have with the Lord. That has been the comeback to. When I feel completely chaotic and confused, I have something to come back to. And I've also been blessed with an amazing support system. I have the best friends. I have the best family. And I know not everybody's blessed with that, but I've also learned how to adapt. Okay, this person and this person and this person. And again, like I said in the beginning, keeping those relationships and that vulnerability alive.
Yeah. So even with all of these, because you said you have 6 sisters and 3
Yeah.
brothers and parents and friends, like even with all of that around, were there moments where you were just like, I'm in this thing alone
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
feel
100%.
so like isolated from everybody, even though they're physically, literally there?
That is such a good question. Yeah, that still almost brings me to tears. I think my heart breaks for everybody who feels that. Yeah, that is so real.
Mm-hmm.
I the narrative I created for myself that I'm still trying to just like kill, like attack, is the narrative that nobody gets it, that I'm in here by myself. Sorry. I'm in here by myself, and I feel like I am surrounded by such incredible people because I am. I have really amazing people all around me. I don't know what I did to get it, but see that even that conversation with myself, I don't deserve to be around these people.
Mm-hmm.
They deserve better than me. I am disgusting. If they only knew the things that I've done, if they only knew the things that I thought of or whatever, like um, they would do better with me, which is part of the reason why I kept leaving. I haven't lived home for like 10 years because in my head, I was better off completely separated from the people that I love. Um, and yeah, loneliness is a hard thing. Yeah, like I said, I'm still kind of working through that. So I don't really have an answer other than I can relate and I can empathize with those people. And it really is like a sickness of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like that narrative, and you have to talk back to it. I've learned that, at least, like you
Yeah.
have to talk back to it and be very practical. I'm very big on being literal. Like I literally have great friends who love me. I literally have family that support me. I literally have had some experiences that are unique, that will speak to my testimony, that will reach this person when they feel alone, because I felt that. Like you have to be
Mm-hmm.
like on top of speaking back to it. That's something that I've learned.
Yeah. That's so good. And the hardest part about mental health is you often have these narratives created in your brain, like I am alone in this and nobody would understand if I shared
It's
my
so
story
real.
and
Yeah.
I would feel judged, and these narratives just keep going and going, and that pushes people further away from the very people sometimes that either God is putting in their path to be like, listen, I see you and I hear you and I want to help you. But it's not even what I've realized. It's not a pride thing. It's a shame thing. It's like a
Yeah.
who ain't nobody gonna understand me? And even if they did, how are they gonna help me? And I'm so broken and I'm so all of these things, right? And it's like, or like Jazmyne was saying, like you literally have support and you're literally loved. And there's a difference between being alone and loneliness. We don't know the
Mm-hmm.
difference often because in our brains they're the same thing, right? But it's like you can be alone but not lonely. Like I can
Yeah.
be physically by myself and whatever. Doesn't mean I don't have people. It's just I chose to be over here.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. I know that was like vulnerable, but this is a safe space. And I'm grateful that you trust this space because yeah.
I love
Hey.
this space. It's so I'm so happy that that you did this. Yeah. I love it.
So with all of this that you have gone through and survived, like learning how to love yourself, I think is one of the hardest parts of healing, is learning that with all of this stuff that is me, it's me. And I have to learn to accept it. And then the things that I can change, I will. The things that I can't, well, you give that to God. So how did you learn how to embrace all the things that Jazmyne is? Because even in spite of all the mental health things and the stuff that you did, you're freaking amazing, dude. So how did you learn to love and embrace self?
I love you. Again, still working on that. Still working on that, but I think what changed for me, which was really big, is I stopped running away from the things that I was dealing with and that I was ashamed of. Um,
Mhm.
some of those things were brought to my attention by the people that I love.
Mhm.
Because while I have really loving people, they love me enough to bring these things that I want to work on to my attention. So, um, but yeah, I think I had a habit of just running, or numbing. I've dealt with it all. I've dealt with addiction to name a category. Like
Mhm.
I've
Mhm.
done that, and it's only brought me more and more into shame and com- I can't even say conviction. Conviction is in relationship to God. I was shame, regret, disappointment.
Mhm.
Would beat myself with it. But when I stopped and I started um, kind of retracing my steps, I empathize with that little girl. I empathize with that teenage girl. I empathize with that young adult. I empathize with that, that girl that made terrible decisions based on X, Y, and Z. Like I
Mhm.
started to treat myself how I would treat my friend,
Mhm.
even a stranger. I treat strangers better than I did myself.
You do that.
Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it was again, maybe this isn't helping my mental health, but I would talk to myself. I feel really, really, really bad for little Jazmyne that she experienced that, and no wonder why she felt comfort in this space that wasn't healthy for her.
Mhm.
Or taking this diagnosis and taking it for what it is, not necessarily making it my entire personality, but being real about it. Listen, I need help
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
I need medication right now. And
Mhm.
that is just what it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, learning how to be okay with my truth. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm still working on that. It's a constant everyday thing, but
Mhm.
yeah, empathy for yourself.
I love that. It's so good because we beat ourselves up way too much over the smallest of things. And first of
It's
all,
so
listen,
weird. We're so nice, so forgiving outside.
right? And like, oh, that's okay. We don't make allowances for everybody but ourselves, and be like, girl, you dumb. We do
Wild.
it. It's insane. And this is why I am a fan of speaking to self. And you know what? Now, this might sound crazy coming from a therapist, but listen here. I will talk and answer to myself because you know what? That internal communication, if it's a part of my downfall, I'm pretty sure I can do it in the opposite way and let it be a part of my elevation,
You
quite
know,
frankly. So, if you have to have a conversation with yourself, talk nice to yourself.
it
You
is
know what
what
I'm
it
saying? That's
is.
what we're
Whatever
doing.
works.
Yeah, yeah, precisely. I agree. Self-care. What is
Yeah.
your self-care? What works for you? How are we able to just be like, okay, Jazmyne, yes, we have these things going on, and our healing journey is a journey, not a destination. So how do we get through it? What self-care things do you do for yourself?
You're right. I would say, um, well, I teach dance. Dance is a huge part, and it's not always easy. It's very exhausting. I have a day job too, so sometimes like thinking about coming here to the dance studio, that's where I'm at, people,
Mm,
um, can feel very exhausting. But my fight towards it, number one, kind of feeds that perseverance. Like
mhm,
I have here's my accountability. I'm accountable for showing up for these kids. I'm
mhm,
accountable for instilling these major great habits, showing up on time, practice, and all of those things. And that really feeds my confidence. That's a big
mhm,
part of my confidence building, um, especially when I see these kids come in, super excited to show me what they've practiced and stuff like that. So, that's a way. With that also comes stretching. Guys, please stretch. Please stretch. Men tend to carry their stress in their shoulders and their upper back. Women tend to carry it in what I call the thinkers in their hips. And sometimes like stretching can change your perspective. I promise. Just even you don't even got to touch your toes. Just reach down. I'm telling you, there's something about and I always encourage. I have to give this because I always give this when people ask me about stretching. Put on some music, dim the lights. If you're bold enough, get in front of a mirror and just put on some like movement stuff and just start doing these weird start moving. I'm telling you, the freedom that comes with that, chef's kiss. Other than that, some other cliche things like I take really long showers. I make a point to, I'm not perfect at this, but I try to set alarms to like remind myself to check in with this person, check in with this person, check in with this person, and having these like conversations. And that makes me feel like I'm still a part of, like, we joke about being adults and having limited time, but it makes me feel like I'm still a part of the outside world and I do have these connections and all of that. And then combing my hair. That's random. When I comb my hair, I feel accomplished. When I make my bed, I'm like, I'm on top of the world.
It's so true, guys. Celebrate them wins, man. You got to celebrate it. Like, I put on deodorant today. For some people, they're like, I do that every day. And for others, it's like, hey, listen, I just did a thing. Okay.
Listen.
Don't play with me.
Okay. And above all, therapy. Therapy is for everyone. It's a beautiful tool. I'll leave that with where that is. Therapy is great. Great.
Thank you for saying that, because when we say it, like, you're a therapist, you have to say it. I'm like, listen here. Therapy is for lottie-dottie and everybody. You hear me? Not for the crazies, not for the ones who are broken.
Everybody.
Like, listen here. Y'all, get the help. I'm not saying we're all perfect. There are some therapists, maybe should pick something else. But
it's like dating. You gotta play the field a little bit. If you don't feel comfortable here, you ask for another one. I've definitely had, different therapists in my journey. Yeah.
Yeah, I was fired at least 3 or 4 times. They're like, no.
And they don't take it. Y'all don't take it personal. That's what I had to learn. I used to think like y'all were gonna go home. I have to break up with you, and you guys are like at home, like really thinking about it. You're like, I wish you the best.
I mean, because when I got fired, I was like intern turning into an actual professional. I was like, is it me? Am I broken? And my supervisor was like, Jazmyne, first of all, you can't help everybody. So you're fine. Maybe they just needed someone else or a different perspective. And I was like, okay.
People like
I really thought it was me. But yeah, no. If you need your healing, you go to the right person, because I can't reach everybody, nor can the next person reach the people that I can. And there's a lane for us all out here. But anyway, I love that you brought up the dance thing, because people underestimate how much art can heal, right?
Huge.
Hence the name of this episode is The Art of Healing, because artistic expression, it helps you to tap into a certain side of yourself that often, truth be told, gets overlooked or neglected, because everything is logic and everything is survival and instinctual. And it's like, yes, but then there's literally a whole other side to you that is about creating. And for some, if you don't create, that's where your mental health drops, right? Yeah. So I'm glad that you brought that up, and I hope that you're able to inspire other people to be like, hey, moving your body, crucial. Dance, love it. Art, do it. Yeah, it's needed.
I love that, because it's so true. And even for like the left brain people, I think getting creative with how let me take it back. A lot of what brought me out of especially depression was, I think depression can inadvertently And you can be totally like, it's a subconscious thing where you're absorbed with self. So we become self-absorbed. When you start to reach out and you think of things that can pull you out, and you connect with people, and you know what you can do to help, that's the easiest word I can come up with right now. But when you connect with the outside world, it can pull you out. So even if you aren't like, artsy creative, getting creative with a way and figuring out a way that you can pour back into your community, pour back into your friends, pour back into, the people that are pouring into you, like getting creative in that way. If you're, into electronics and stuff like that, you teach somebody, bring somebody in, and like who's interested in that, and find a way to connect that. That's what, I think that everybody can connect with that, with a level of creativity. Because I think a lot of people start to think like, oh, I'm not good at painting, I'm not good at music, I'm not good at this. Well, you can get creative in the things that you are good at and pour back into it. And it really, really does help. It really helps.
Because literally colors can change a mood, and scents and sensations, and ain't it?
It's so crazy.
I'm like, wait a minute, there's like aromatherapy, there's, I remember what the color stuff is, and I'm like, oh, this stuff
you're such a good therapist. Oh, you're such a good counselor, therapist, because all of that. That's wild.
Listen, I tell people, like, find your power color, because we all have those colors that make you feel like I'm alive again and I feel powerful and sexy, or whatever. It's like, yes, wear those. Green is my color. Love green, and gold and purple. Now I found out royal blue kind of works for me too. And it's like, I'm gonna throw them things on, because when I feel like I ain't nobody, and
that's where your art shines through, honestly. Fashion. No, seriously.
I'm glad you call it fashion, because other people would not.
No, I would.
People would be like, Jazmyne, what are you wearing and why? And it's like, first of all,
and guess what? It brings joy to me. So
facts, like the same for y'all, like literally the same for y'all. Like, I just like things. Anyway, this isn't about me, this is about you. So as we laughed about during the beginning stages of this, is being neurospicy, neurodivergent, whatever you want to call it, is about embracing the quirkiness and the life that you are, whether you are an anxious person or just a weird type person. So in all of your quirkiness and neurospicy self, is that beneficial for the person that you are today? Has it gotten you to a better place in life when you're just like, okay, I'm different, and that's cool because I can reach all types of people?
I've learned this too. Like, again, I've lived kind of all over the place, and something I didn't even realize that people found like super charismatic were those things, the things that I thought were weird and crazy and kooky. I mean, down to like my frizzy fro. Those were the times that, people have expressed to me like, oh, just the way that you walk into a room and how goofy you are, like really lifted my spirits today. Like, so yeah, and that in return, like kind of feeds me and like gives me a little bit of a boost in who I am. Still a fight, like sometimes I don't believe them, but there's such freedom and kind of just letting yourself be. And not to say, there is decorum, there's a time and a place, there are all these things, but to your truest self, there is an incredible freedom in being. And even if you can only be, with a certain amount of people, because I also believe in boundaries. If you can find those core people, or if you can sit with yourself and be totally comfortable with yourself, like, I think there's nothing more attractive, nothing more more dynamic than that type of freedom. And I do have to remind myself every so often to let that go, like that poised. I have done that before, everywhere I go, like become the person that I need to be in the moment. And that is a really hard habit to kick, that people pleasing thing. But I have to say, in the last couple of years specifically, just being kind of done and tired of acting like that, I have never felt more loved, more appreciated for who I am, and more comfortable, even though I'm still working on it. Like, I've never been this comfortable with myself and who I am. Yeah.
Wow. So I'm going to brag about Jazmyne for a little bit because she's great. I remember when we first started working together, and I was like, this girl she's so cool, right? And when I say Jazmyne joined me with the shenanigans, Jazmyne would join me with the shenanigans. And I don't think people understand, like, when you're neurospicy and you find another neurospicy person, you're just like, my people. It is so affirming.
It's so true. That's so true.
It's so affirming, and it makes you feel like, okay, this is safe for me, right?
Love at first spice. We were like, yeah.
Yes. When I tell you, I still have videos in my phone of the crazy shenanigans that we used to get into, like Jazmyne having a kite, and there was like a kite in one of the closets, and it's like, what is this? And Jazmyne's like, I don't know, but we're gonna go fly it. And she literally runs out the door with the kite.
I think they, like, two of them tried to kill each other that day too. We were like, wee!
But I tell you, like, working with Jazmyne was like a highlight of my week, because when I say she just lightens up the room, and it's just like, oh, this is so refreshing. Because in other spaces you work with, like, people who are really like, nah, 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 and it's like, you're boring. I don't like it. Yeah. Like, Saturday mornings are some of my favorite shifts, and whatever shift you work during the week. And I was like, yes, I need Jazmyne on my shift because she's bomb.com. And it's amazing when you are a person, when you embrace this neurospiciness that you are, and you allow the other person to be just as spicy as you are. And it's just like, oh, this is great. And I used to call her my spirit animal. And I know she's not an animal, but Jazz is. Jazz is amazing. And she's so, like you heard, huh?
You're amazing.
No, you're amazing.
We're doing it again.
And then, like, I met her. I met most of your siblings and your mom and your dad and stuff like that, and they're all pretty cool. You all are like dope, and I'm like, can y'all adopt me? Like, can I just be like a side Fernandes?
You're welcome every time to anything.
But when I tried so I got invited to do the dance thing, right? And I was like, Jazmyne, girl, I don't dance, but I'll come and I'll support and I'll come say hi because I haven't seen you.
You
and
did not know.
But, like, I'm not gonna lie, when I was dancing, I was like, oh, okay, body. Like, hey, girl, I didn't know you can do all these things. Like, and it is a form of therapy. It really was therapeutic, and it was like finding out that, I can dance in ways that I couldn't before. I was like, oh. Wow.
Yeah, just not taking yourself too seriously and trying new things. Like, it's so freeing.
Mm-hmm. So I just had to, like, brag on you a little bit. Now I'm off my high horse. So at the end of every episode, because this is getting towards the end, at the end of every episode, obviously we talked about being an inimitable, which is something so unique it's impossible to duplicate, aka for the neurospicy, the black sheeps of the world. Yada, yada, yada. If you were to have advice for other young women or just young people who are going through things and feel isolated, or maybe feel like people are over preaching them and it's just like, yeah, kind of thing, like, what would be your advice to, like, for them to navigate those spaces?
Well, first of all, when it comes to that battle between faith and like what you're dealing with. I say believe the Bible. Come to God with everything. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing that he cannot handle. He is the I am. He's the creator. He created you. You are apparently made perfect in his image. Like everything about you is already known. It's already forgiven thanks to
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. And yeah, there's nothing too big or too complicated, even when it comes down to faith. Like there's multiple examples of, people in the Bible saying like, that there's even the scripture about I believe, but help me in my unbelief.
Mm-hmm.
Like I there's nothing too big for him.
Yeah.
So feel feel that vulnerability, give it to God. That's one. Two, community is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Community is huge. That's where your encouragement comes from. That's where the positive affirmations come from that help feed the vocabulary and the conversation that you have with yourself. If that means that you join a group, a counseling group, or you join a dance class or whatever, just
Mm-hmm.
put yourself out there, get to know somebody, getting in a community. And then finally, again, having empathy with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful with yourself, be kind to yourself, and while you're being real about the things that you deal with, um, keep the love in mind. What do I mean by that? The way that you would talk to somebody else, and encourage them, you want to encourage yourself. And then lastly, I think I said lastly before, but lastly, get creative, dude. Get creative. Figure out what you like. Figure out what you like. Figure out what you want to try. Do it. Try it. Cook the thing. Dance the thing. Talk to the person. Like, try it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all
Yeah,
I got for now.
I love that because truth be told, and this is just a little like psychoeducation, if you want to call it. When people are traumatized and really stuck in like a mental health thing, they can't get creative. You're just stuck,
Yeah,
right? Because the only thing you are concerned about is surviving the moment. And
that's so
art
true.
is not
Yeah.
about surviving. Creation is not about surviving. It's like, I need to make it through these next 24 hours. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care about colors. I don't care about dance. I just need to live to see another day.
And that's
And
okay too.
very much okay. We do
It's
not go against
okay for the moment, and I totally get that.
it. Mm-hmm.
Um, but empathize with yourself in that moment too. I just have to say that because I've been there too.
Yeah. But there's something about tapping into creativity. Like, I had a supervisor that said something like, get curious. And I was like, sir, what? And he was like, no, get curious. That those things that you always try to consider doing and thought about doing, but you was like, that doesn't make sense. He's like, investigate that. Or, I keep getting triggered by this one thing. Investigate it because there's answers in places that we don't often
That's
look
so
into.
good. Yeah.
Right. I was like, you
Get
might be a
curious.
crazy white man, but I like it. I like what you did there.
Get curious. I like that.
Yeah, get curious.
That's
So,
huge. Yeah.
Jazz, as always, it is a pleasure
I love
talking
you.
with you and seeing you. Although this is virtual, we will be meeting in person. And you are amazing and you have overcome so much. And I'm so proud of you for all the things that you
Thank
are
you.
and all the things that you do. It's all hurt.
Thank you.
But as we
Very good.
index finger and middle fingers, yeah. It's like throwing up gang signs. Don't mind us.
Okay.
I told y'all this was gonna happen. Anywho, thank you guys for joining in today. Whether you're watching this, I guess live technically, or rebroadcast. However, thank you for watching. I hope that you share this and enjoyed this episode. And maybe we'll have Jazmyne on another time, or I don't know, maybe. Um, but join us next week. So next week I have another very neurospicy person that instantly I clicked with the same way I instantly clicked with Jazmyne. Her name is Tanya. She is an entrepreneur. She is an IT specialist. I don't know exactly what she does, but nonetheless, she has a story. And we're going to listen to this story. And, stay tuned for a lot of things that are coming up. Again, you see the banner down there. If you want to contribute to helping young people, do the Cash App. Or if you don't trust Cash App and you want to PayPal, I'll give you the information as well, because I really want to reach young people. And obviously young people don't have a lot of money. Okay. So, or the ones that I want to work with don't have a lot of money. So you can sponsor them, whether it's $45 a month, or if you just want to drop a seed, one-time thing. However, trust me, it's not going in my pocket. It is going to help young people all over the world and continue to do stuff like this. Thank you, Jazmyne. So stay tuned. There's a outro video, like I say every single week. Watch the outro video, and I will see you guys in person, not in person, live next Thursday. Anyway, Jazmyne, love you. Bye, guys.
I love you. Bye, people.
Hey guys, Jazmyne here. Thank you for watching this episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Listen, I am looking to transition everything to my YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/@AFCCS77. Go there, go subscribe, and let your people know, because a lot of my content is already on there. I have a series called Black Man Heal series. That was great. I Am series is on there. Join the Fight series is on there. And now this Inimitable Podcast is on there. So all of the content that I've been putting together for the past, year and a half, it's all on there. So please go check it out. Also, after this, there's going to be a flyer that's talking about Jazmyne's ready to go to work. Okay. Mentoring young people and young adults between the ages of 14 and 26. I'm really trying to do that more. So if you know any programs and churches that have some young people that need mentorship and need group counseling, let me know. We can talk, we can contract, we can partner, and maybe doing more podcast episodes. I'm just ready to get in there. So again, go to YouTube. I will see you later. Check out this flyer. All right, bye.